YouTube, how we doing? Today, we're going back into Lemon Pepper Sunday, second week in a row. If you're unfamiliar with what Lemon Pepper Sunday is, it's basically where I'm going to ramble about the NFL in some capacity, all unscripted, and we just kind of talk a little bit. It's just a little bit of a conversation for you to listen to, usually about 10-15 minutes, and I usually just come up with a topic that I want to talk about. And today is an interesting one because it's definitely one that's hot in the moment right now, and that is the NFL draft and prospects. What I want to talk about is the way we look at prospects. I'm not saying I'm an expert or nothing. I've been looking at prospects and doing mock drafts and such religiously for 3 years, right? I've always enjoyed the process and such, but I've really honed in the past 3 years, right? What I've noticed a lot of what we tend to do as a draft community or just as fans is we look at somebody's college tape and we believe that that's all they'll ever be able to do, right? They'll only be able to improve on those things. And I think that that's such a misconstrued topic that we really need to address and really need to discover, what the root of that is. In a league like the NFL, that positional value is such a hot topic, Yeah, the safety is the best player in the class. There's no discussion about it. But he's not going to go in the top 10 because, you could get somebody cheaper and stuff. There's an element to it, and it's a very confusing topic, and that's not the topic for today. But when it comes to players that are getting moved up and down boards because of certain things that they can and can't do at this moment in time, I think it's absolutely ridiculous, right? I think number one guy that we've talked about all off season is Malik Willis. He has all the intangibles. He's got the mobility, the throw arm, the charismatic personality. He's a good guy, but he's not NFL ready. That's what we always hear. And so people are getting him out of the first round late, going to the Lions of the last pick of the first round. We're seeing it a bunch with a bunch of different people, and it's insane to me that we're going to look at a guy and say, yep, that's the most talented quarterback in this draft class, but because he struggles to throw a 10 and out at this very moment in time, he's never going to be able to throw that route, and we need to get him off to the side. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. There's no one like Malik Willis in this class, in my opinion, and that's just it. That's really it, If Davis Mills was in this draft class, him and Malik Willis would be QB 1A and 1B, right? Like that's how it is. Because the draft class for quarterbacks this year is not as strong as other years. Can some of them make it out and can some of them do better? Yes, that's how it is. People improve. Gardner Minshew played very well for a 6th-round pick. Elijah Mitchell, late pick. James Robinson, undrafted. We see it all the time. It happens all the time. It's not uncharacteristic for the NFL to have late round or undrafted players that turn out to be some of the best players in that draft. But the problem with it is when looking at college prospects and saying, oh, Malik Willis isn't ready because his accuracy needs help. Oh, he's not ready because of this, because of that. That's why you want to take him, because he can do what everyone else can't. So you're telling me that, let's just take a comparison. I'm not going to name any of the other quarterbacks in the draft, right? But let's just take a quarterback in this draft class, and you're going to say that you like them more than Malik Willis because they don't have the arm talent Malik has. They can't get outside of the pocket Malik has, but they can throw that 10 and out. So you know that they're a safe floor. What are we talking about? Are you drafting somebody because you want them to be better than the value that you drafted them at, or are you drafting somebody because you are so scared of missing? There's a big difference between it, because guys can improve. This guy went from Auburn to losing his job to Bo Nix, which we understand what happened there. He goes to a school, not Oregon or Florida or Miami or something like that. He goes to Liberty, plays very well, shows off all the talent that he has in the world with a team like Liberty and the coaching staff like Liberty, which, granted, Liberty is a great school and they're good at what they do, and a shout out needs to go to them for handling Malik as they have. But you're not going to get the same production out of all the Liberty students as you are the Alabama students. So I think there's a big difference there. So you're telling me Malik Willis is going to go to NFL, right? Let's say he gets drafted to the Texans, right? He's going to go to NFL. He's going to have a coach that's coached for years, been a coach of the year. He's going to have a GM who's worked with Brady and Belichick and the Patriots. You're going to go to all this. He's going to go through all this stuff, and he's still not going to be able to throw that 10 and out. He's still not going to be able to do a touch pass. Oh, he throws the ball too hard. You teach him to finesse it. You teach him to put that touch on it. You work with him. And those guys are willing to work. You see Malik's play style, his personality. He is one that wants to be great. So why would we discredit him for having such a strong arm that sometimes he's throwing it too hard? Why are we discrediting him that he can throw that ball 80 yards and sometimes overthrows the receiver? Because it comes with time. He's not going to be great right away, and that's okay, because maybe he will, and we don't know that. The same thing happened with Lamar Jackson a while back. People wanted him to work out at receiver drills and running back drills at the combine. He was just like, no, I'm not doing it. Spends a year behind Joe Flacco, learns a lot, comes in at the end of the year, won an MVP the next year. I mean, the guy is one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and the same thing that people were saying, he can't throw the touch pass. He doesn't have a deep ball arm. One, it hasn't hurt him in the league this far. You know, he's played amazing. Two, you can say that Lamar Jackson's not a top 5, top 10 passer in the NFL. You can't say he's bottom half of the league, because he does put the ball in some spots that other guys can't. Why? That will to be great. The will to be great, and it's with a lot of these kids. There's guys that you can tell that don't have that will, but have a safe floor, and those are the guys that end up not playing well in the NFL. Because guess what? If you make it to the NFL, you're a good player. If you have ever made a practice squad in the NFL, you are one of the best players to ever play football. Why? Because that is such a unique opportunity that most of us will never, ever achieve. It is such a small percentage of people that will ever get to say they put on an NFL jersey and went out and practiced with an NFL team. You're already one of the greatest football players. You're probably heralded at your high school, you know, unless you're like Poly or something. But it's such a hard task. It really is. And so we're gonna say that these guys that are top tier talent aren't as good as they are because other guys can do a little bit more at this moment in time. You know, it doesn't sit right with me. The one reason I really wanted to make this video is something that angered me today. And Jordan Davis is his name. Okay, I've been a huge fan of Jordan Davis. And I've constantly dropped him down my boards, more or less because of the pressure that has been to keep him up, but also because there's so much great talent in this draft that it's hard to figure out where to put him. But again, positional value, people are saying, you know, nose tackle, not the, okay, cool, I get it. You know, for my big board, it's talent-wise, so I try to balance it. But I've always kept him in the first round. He's never been outside of it. Some people don't see him as a first-rounder, at least until today. You know, a lot of people are moving him up. But I remember my first mock draft, I believe I had him going to the Falcons at pick 8. And I remember talking to people about it and such and just hearing a lot of hate for Jordan Davis and other videos in mine, and just like, you know, you wouldn't take a nose tackle. Why would you do this? Why would you do that? He's not a 3-down player. He can't rush the passer. Why not? Because he didn't do it at Georgia? Is that why? Is that the real reason why he cannot do those things? Because let's go through it. At Georgia, Trayvon Walker, right? Devontae Wyatt, right? Nakobe Dean is at the linebacker position. Obviously, you have Jordan Davis as well. Jermaine Johnson had to transfer out of Georgia because there's so much talent. And now he's a top 10 talent in this draft as well. It's insane how good that team was and how good that defense was. And I'm sure I'm missing somebody. So the fact that Jordan Davis wasn't playing every single down, yeah, because he's 6'6", 360 or something like that, I'd give him a breather too, because you know that his backups are going to be just as great. He's not getting the sacks. Well, that might be because Nakobe Dean just shot the gap. Trayvon Walker got around the edge. Like, what are we talking about with that? And the problem I have with it is, why can't he be a 3-down D tackle? Because he's so big and scary. Like, yeah, here's the thing. Conditioning-wise, I probably don't want him to be a 3-down tackle. I'm probably going to use him as a 2-down, right? Use him, whatever. You're telling me he can't get 5 sacks in a season? Why? And that's the problem that we have, is because he didn't do it in college. He can never do it. Why is that? Why are we settling for that? Why are we acting like that's okay to say? When we look at someone's tape like Jordan Davis, you look at his positives. No one's getting through the middle. He's blocking the complete A gap. There's no one going in the A gap when Jordan Davis is on the field, right? He forces 2 offensive linemen to take him, or else he's going to get through, right? And then he showed today how agile and quick he is at that size and strength. Hey, I'm not saying he's going to be these people, but who are some other guys that we know of that were strong, not necessarily size, but strong, quick, forced 2 people on them, and showed out in any drill that they did? Gee, I don't know. Maybe a guy that just won a Super Bowl like Aaron Donald. He was 6'1", and people, again, he's too small, he'll never make it. But meanwhile, on the field, he's breaking through every block. He's forcing double teams. He's disrupting. He's getting to the passer. And another guy, they weren't sure where he's going to play. Edge, tackle. And guess what? He's played every position on that defensive line, and he's been a top-tier sack leader on his team every single year. Why? The will to be great. The will to be great. It's so simple. If a player wants it, he'll get it. Because every single player that gets drafted has that opportunity. It just depends on what you do with it. And I'll be honest, some of it's God-given ability, right? Some people just have it. Jamar Chase has it. Joe Burrow has it, but he worked his ass for it. There's Saquon Barkley has it. Like, we know of the guys. Kayvon Thibodeau has it. He's been the number one recruit for years. So there's other guys who need to use that will to be great to be able to achieve what they want. And so when you look at guys like Jordan Davis who are ridiculed because they can't rush the passer and they're not fast enough, they're not quick enough because they're so big. Hey, if Jordan Davis went out there and ran a 5.5 at the 40, I would still draft him in the first round because I don't need my D tackle to run a fast 40. Why? Because he's plugging the A gap at 6'6", 360. That's an easy selection for me. And so when you get a guy who now is also athletic as all hell, why wouldn't you draft him? Seriously, it makes no sense to me. And this happens a ton. We see it with receivers. Jamison Williams, torn ACL. Some people have him as not even a top 5 receiver anymore. Some people have him falling out of the first round, late first rounder. Now, granted, this is a great receiver class. It's a really great receiver class. But Jamison Williams was the number 1 receiver for me until his injury. And you tell me an ACL injury that a lot of athletes are going through right now, and it's not more, but like it's happening so frequent that we need to put it on that CTE level of let's research and figure out what's happening. Oh, it's the turf. Okay, let's get grass. That's the option. But I digress. It's an injury that a lot of people are bouncing back from, coming back stronger, saying they feel better from, and the recovery is not as bad as it was. ACLs back in the day, yeah, that's tough. That's why Adrian Peterson, when he won MVP the next year, it was like, oh my gosh, this guy's the greatest. But nowadays, you go through your recovery, you come back, you play. You know, sometimes you have a setback, but again, will to be great. How hard are you going to work it? How hard are you going to stick to your schedule on your rehab? How much are you going to eat the diet they need you to eat? That will to be great. So if you go and Jamison Williams is giving you all the right answers, he seems like the kid that I think he's going to be. Why wouldn't you take him when you know he's going to play his rookie season, right? You might not play him at the beginning of the season because you want him to recover fully. But if the guy is the best talent in the draft, why would you take someone that is not as good as him because they can play the first 4 weeks of the season and he can't? Let's say 4 weeks. Let's just meet in the middle somewhere. When you're drafting a guy for 5 years, those first 4 weeks mean so much to you. That you take somebody that you believe is worse than this guy, but because he has an injury at this current day, you know, sometimes here's the thing, and yes, injuries can linger. ACLs aren't one that linger like that. You know, hamstrings, bicep injuries, shoulder injuries, those can linger. But why are we acting like everything needs to be taken out of proportion? So that way, how the combine and how the draft works right now for a lot of people is who's the healthiest, who can do the most all-around things, they're the best players. I don't need my D tackle to run that 40. Jordan Davis looked good doing it, though. You know? But guess what? If Jordan Davis wasn't... If I'm trying to think of another... If Haskell Garrett ran that 40, right? That same 40. I'm not boosting up my big board. Maybe a couple spots. He's not shooting up to a first round because he ran that 40. Why? It doesn't matter. I don't need my DT to run a 40. The reason why it's big for Jordan Davis is because he's 6'6", 360, and he's arguably the most athletic D tackle in the draft. That's why it matters. Because he is better than everyone at everything that you need him to do. And he put that on display. Jamison Williams. He's shown constantly that he is great. But we're going to shoot him down boards because he got injured and he might not be there the first couple weeks of the season. But that will be great. We'll keep him in the study. You know, like he'll be reading that playbook like gospel. It's a weird spot, man. It really is. I just don't like it. I think that we need to reevaluate how we evaluate prospects and give them more respect because, you know, some of these saying, oh, they're bad at this. Well, why can't they get better? Right? Because they can. Elijah Mitchell, Alvin Kamara, Kareem Hunt, David Montgomery. I mean, the list can go on. Darius Slayton was a 5th-round pick, right? There's a lot of guys. Stephon Diggs. How many receivers were taken in front of Diggs? How many quarterbacks were taken in front of Brady? What's the difference between all those guys? They wanted it. Why didn't they get drafted so high? Other guys look better. Other guys were more all-around prospects. But hey, if you're the best route runner in the class and you have the best hands in the class, a guy like Stephon Diggs is going to work. Sorry you can't spec catch like another guy can. Sorry you can't run the 40 as fast as someone else can. I think he got drafted the same class as John Ross, right? I think we got to look at it and see scheme fits are the most important. How important each attribute is important. If a receiver has top-end speed and great hands but can't route run, how much better are they than a route runner who can catch but doesn't really have too much speed? That's up to you. That's it for Lemon Pepper Sunday. Hope you guys learned a little bit from this and got my opinion. Let me know your opinion down below. How do you evaluate the prospects? How do you view what I'm talking about? Do you think we're a little bit too harsh on prospects? Do you think that we're not harsh enough maybe? Let me know. Let's have a discussion down in the comment section below. I'd love to talk about it and get your guys' opinion. If you guys did enjoy, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you are new. If you didn't, refresh that page and let me know what you think about it a second time. Click one of these videos that are about to pop up on your screen. Make sure you subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.
Look at the timing, better don't stop. Let it go by, no, not on my watch. I do this here on my own time. Time is money, so I did it on my own dime. Word to Bookie, yeah, that's homage, gave me game. Yeah, he taught me family ties, quick to back then. It's up off me, now I can't wait for you.